I'm here today honored to be Palestinian. We're standing on a cold Wednesday evening for one reason and one reason only. That is to send a very clear and a very loud message to the leaders sitting in that building who are basically deciding whether Palestinians are worthy of life or not. The government gladly highlights and condemns the attack by Hamas, but fails to clarify that the killing of innocent women and children in Gaza is being done by Israel. This is utter hypocrisy and it is disgusting. On another note, I want to highlight that the government allowed a TD named Danny Healy-Ray, I think, to get up there. Exactly. They allowed him to get up there and spread false information, which has either been debunked or has been not verified by any side, including the Israeli side. It is both shameful and disappointing to allow a TD to spread false information in Parliament in such times. I also want to reiterate that we need a ceasefire, not just a humanitarian pause. This pause will do nothing more than slow down the killing of people in Gaza for a few days, only to resume it again. Let's make one thing very clear. As long as there are no consequences for Israel's actions, they will continue to bomb and kill innocent civilians. So while this pause is welcome, it is in no way means that our work is done. And it certainly does not mean that this government work is done and that they can sit back and celebrate this victory.
Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now!
I know you can hear us! I know you can hear us!
Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now!
Ireland cannot be complicit with this genocide. And even though today's motion does not include the expulsion of the Israeli ambassador, I am here to say, Israeli ambassador, out, out, out! Israeli ambassador,
Out, out, out!
Israeli ambassador!
Out, out, out!
I know you're tired. My God, am I tired as well. But every time I think of taking a break, I keep thinking of those less fortunate than us. Our families in Gaza who don't have the choice to take a break. So as long as they suffer, we stand in solidarity. As long as they need us, we will stand here firmly. And as long as the government does not listen to our voices and our demands, we will continue to stand here and we will make damn sure that they know we won't go anywhere until they take real action. Don't lose hope, keep the faith, and as we have learned from the Irish, you guys, even if it takes 700 damn years, occupation does not last. Palestinian land will return to its people, and Palestinian people will return to their land. Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry. We will not let you die. Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry. We will never let you die.
This humanitarian pause, this is not a video game we can pause and resume. This is a genocide. This is a genocide. Like, I think some people don't understand the word genocide. You need to look it up. It's not something you need to pause. It's something you need to stop, and you need to make sure it doesn't happen to any person in this world. And I thought that the world has learned from what happened in Rwanda and previous genocides, but no. We are being killed every day. Slowly, it's being slowly cooked, this ethnic cleansing. It did not stop. It didn't. It wasn't like a one-time thing in 1948. It wasn't like one-time thing in 67. It is happening every single day, and Israel is doing everything strategically. They're taking advantage that all of our focus are on Gaza, so they are committing more crimes in the shadows in the West Bank, killing more people, detaining more people. And before, our demands were, okay, we have the hostages, we will release your hostages. If you release our hostages that are over 10,000 Palestinian prisoners who are mistreated, who are being tortured psychologically, physically, who are children, women, men in prison just because they want liberation, just because they don't want to bow for their oppressors. First, our demands were, we will release the hostages if you release our 10,000 hostages, our 2.2 million hostages. But now, they created a new demand by continuously, extensively bombing. Everything is strategic. Now the demand is like ceasefire. Now we are just chanting ceasefire. Just at least the minimum now is just ceasefire. And they're doing this on purpose. Now the negotiating card is like, okay, hostages, ceasefire. This is what they're doing. They're creating more violence, they're committing more crimes so they can shift the narrative, they can shift the negotiation card. And we need to be aware of this. I'm not very hopeful about the motion today, but this doesn't mean we should stop. We should keep pressuring them, because it was 7 people voting for Palestine, then it was 55, and this says something. And for me, what I care about are the people, not the governments. We always knew that the governments never have the back of the people. What I care about is you people. When I see lots of people taking the streets with different colors, ethnicities, screaming free Palestine, I know that this word will be reverberated. We are the ones who give them power. It is us who hold the power. And if we circulate the truth, not just the truth of Palestine, but the truth of every crushed and oppressed community, we will shift the table. We will shift all this narrative. We hold the power. This is why they're trying to silence us. This is why they are censoring us. This is because truth and knowledge is power. Don't ever lose hope. They feed on it. They feed on it. We've been crushed and silenced and no one knew about it for almost a century, and we didn't lose hope. And we will never lose hope. This is our secret. They have been trying to understand the Palestinian psychology. Like, we've been killing them, we've been torturing them, nothing is working. What's their secret? It's hope. It's hope, and we know that we are fighting for justice. There is nothing more powerful than that. There is nothing more powerful than that. Nothing.
I'm Mazin, I'm 19 years old, second year in college, computer engineering. They bombed everything. They don't have schools now to study. They bombed our houses. A lot of things were completely demolished. Explosive shells were literally above our heads. I don't know how many people needs to die. Really, I don't know what Israel wants exactly from us. I don't want to die, I want to live. That's the only thing we're asking. Really. We left our dad when the war started. The embassy of Ireland contacted my dad. They told that we're concerned about your safety. We want to get the Irish people from Gaza and stuff. They contacted him. They said, your names are listed on the Rafah crossing, but my dad wasn't listed. And we just didn't know what to do. We were all crying in the house, and my dad hugged us all. My youngest brother, he started crying. What we want to do, we can't go and let our father die in Gaza. But our father told us, don't worry, I will come. He lied to us, a white lie, and told us, just go and I'll be fine, don't worry. And now I'm here. I wish that I never set my foot here in Ireland and leave my dad there to die. Please shout for my dad, for everybody, that to make my dad come here and stay with us. And it's not just about my dad, there's others too, from Irish people in Gaza staying to be bombed. It's a disaster what we are facing all. Please help me to get my father, please. And not just my father, other people as well. There's many of Irish people in Gaza now. Please stop the war and let everybody live peacefully, like as everyone, as you. Please let this war end and let my father come, and I wish you all very best wishes. Thank you.
Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now!
I would encourage people to write in about Mazin's father, Zach. Many of us who protested for Palestine over the years know Zach very, very well. He's a friend. He would have been here on many protests over many, many years. We owe it to him to do everything we can to bring him back from the slaughter that is being threatened on him and indeed all of those people in Gaza. So I would encourage you to write emails to your local TDs and to government ministers, and particularly Micheál Martin, the Foreign Affairs Minister, demanding, I know, listen, I think we all agree on the shameful propaganda tour that he was participated in with Netanyahu. But nonetheless, we have to put pressure on him to ensure that Zach and other Irish citizens are returned home and are allowed leave from Gaza. Let's remember, Israel is holding Irish citizens hostage, and they are holding 2.3 million Palestinians hostage in Gaza, and they have been holding them hostage for 16 years with that criminal and illegal siege. 2.3 million people in prison for 16 years, thousands and thousands of Palestinians on the West Bank long before October the 7th. Our motion called for there to be full and comprehensive sanctions imposed on Netanyahu, on all his government ministers, on all military personnel associated, and all of their ambassadors.
We say yes! We say yes!
While the regime of apartheid and ethnic cleansing and illegal occupation continue, all of which long predate the brutal slaughter we have seen in Gaza and the events of October the 7th, the US military should not be allowed to use Shannon Airport to transport their troops or their materials. We are all relieved, and I'm sure the people of Gaza, most importantly, who've suffered the slaughter and massacre inflicted on them over the last 4 or 5 weeks, are relieved to have some temporary respite from the murderous bombardment by Israel of Gaza. But the Israeli government have made absolutely clear that as soon as this so-called truce expires, they are going to resume the war and the slaughter, and they have made very, very publicly clear that their intention is to ethnically cleanse Gaza. And that is a plan that we all know also long predates October the 7th. The Deputy Speaker of the Israeli Parliament said publicly that Israel was being, quote, too humane in Gaza. We must burn it. We have 4 or 5 days to stop the resumption of this slaughter. But we want the Irish government, along with other Western governments, to discharge their legal responsibility to prevent a genocide, not to punish it after the fact, to prevent it. And there is not a shadow of a doubt that if sanctions are imposed, if arms embargoes are imposed, if ambassadors are expelled, like South Africa did yesterday, a country who understands apartheid, these are the sorts of measures that can deter Israel from resuming the genocide. Next Wednesday is the International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people. We need a massive walkout everywhere and anywhere we can organise it, and you have to be the organisers for that. So I urge you to do that. Even if it's a lunchtime thing, that would be a very, very powerful statement to put the pressure on them necessary to bring Zach back, to bring the Irish citizens back, and to do everything in their power to stop the resumption of the genocide.
I am from Gaza. I came to Ireland 2 years ago, and I survived so many of these escalations. The only hope for people during these atrocities is to stop the war, the conflict, the clashes, whatever the mainstream media calls it. And then after that, people almost forget that it happened. And it's the reason that Israel keeps doing it over and over, because they are not held accountable for what they did. Israel bombed a UN school with white phosphorus for the first time in 2008. And I bet that many people don't know that fact. And in 2014, 10 in the morning, my brother, 20 at the time, he went out to do some grocery shopping to take some food for the people that are sheltering in the schools, people that were already displaced. At 12 p.m., someone called from my brother's number and said that my brother is at the hospital because he was killed. And my brother was killed with an airstrike, a drone airstrike that targeted him directly. He was just a college student. My brother's main dream was to travel outside Gaza. He was trying so hard to leave Gaza and live his life abroad. And why was he targeted with this airstrike? Because at that time, the Israeli army decided that there is a curfew in that street, and they targeted everyone moving there without a declaration. They just declared that by killing 7 people within an hour. These people were civilians just passing by this street. And the person that shot my brother from this drone, he was controlling remotely, and for him, my brother was a point on the map. He didn't even know his face. And we were like twins. He was 1 year older than me, but we were like twins throughout our lives. We were the same college, we had the same friends, everything, we were the same. We don't even know who killed him. It's just a drone that... Why? And I'm talking about one person from 30,000 people in 2014. And people are in shock because the atrocities are so many to even remember how this all started. It all started with this complicity, with not holding them accountable of what's going on, buying their narrative. And I believe that the only thing that we can do now as people here and all around the world is boycotting all the Israeli goods and boycotting all the companies that feed that apartheid state. Boycott! Israel! Boycott! Israel! I just want to remind you guys the only way for an apartheid to cease to exist is when it becomes too expensive to sustain. So boycott Israel.
Israel commits these crimes in front of the whole world. A whole Palestinian nation, people in Gaza, are being wiped out. Genocidal war is coupled with a war of propaganda by chronic liars from Biden to Netanyahu. Shame. Shame on them. Shame. 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 They are bent on the destruction, annihilation, slaughter, murder of the Palestinian people, from the incubator babies to children to men to women to everybody. So how can we deal with such a state? Of course, we are very, very proud of the Irish people. Very, very proud. And your voice is heard in every house, every home, every school, every hospital, every refugee camp in Gaza. With the support of the Irish people, with the support of European people, with the support of peace-loving and freedom-loving people all over the world, we will win.
If anyone, and I doubt if it's anyone here, but if anyone at all is in any doubt that what we are looking at here is a genocide, yesterday we were told that there were now 14,128 Palestinian people killed in the last 45 days. We were also told that there are more than 6,000 people who have gone missing. Most of them are probably under the rubble at the moment. So the number of people who have been killed so far could be more than 20,000 people. That is 1% of the entire population of Gaza within the space of 45 days. This is a genocidal war. And now Netanyahu says there is going to be a pause. What they are saying, in 4 days' time, they will begin again with the killing of children, with this genocidal war. What we want is a complete and a total ceasefire. We want a complete and a total end to the blockade and the siege of Gaza. Let that food, let that water, and let those medicines in. We want an end to the cycle of violence, which did not begin on October the 7th. It began long, long before that. And the root of the cycle of the violence is a brutal, bloody, and racist occupation which must be ended. A salute to those dock workers in Belgium who are refusing to handle planes and boats. A salute to those dock workers in Barcelona who are refusing to handle ships loaded with weapons for Israel. The government says there are no weapons on US military aircraft. We say, how do you know that? They say they've asked the Americans and the Americans have told them. We say that there must be inspections of the planes. If the trade unions that represent the workers in Shannon and the workers themselves say to the government, you do the inspections, the state does the inspections, and any plane that is not inspected, we will refuse to handle it, we will refuse to load that. We're not taking any chance on weapons going from Shannon to Israel. And I would appeal to the workers at Shannon Airport and their unions to have a serious and an urgent discussion about taking that step. 300 people who participated in an anti-war and an anti-occupation demonstration on the streets of Tel Aviv. Palestinians and Israeli Jews alike coming together to say no to war, no to occupation, and I hope their protests go from hundreds to thousands to tens of thousands in the next short while ahead. It is a positive thing if on the streets of Tel Aviv, Palestinian people and Israeli Jews stand together and say to Netanyahu, no to war, no to occupation. There is no question about that. On the question of protest as well, when you have 30,000 and more people on the streets of Dublin, you are part of a link of a worldwide chain, which includes nearly 1 million people on the streets of London, 300,000 people on the streets of Washington, DC, and massive protests, particularly in the capitals of the Arab states. We are part of that global movement against racism and for solidarity. There may be people who say, I've come out and marched on the Saturdays, but now there's a pause, maybe I'll give it a rest. Our message to them has to be, no, it's more important than ever now that if the bombardment stops for 4 days, it must stop, full stop, ceasefire now.
Ceasefire now!